What's up, everybody? It is Rax the Great, and if you are familiar with this channel and you are a subscriber, then you probably already know that I am a huge Nintendo fan. And if you're not a subscriber, there is a little button down there that says subscribe. You should probably click that. And speaking of Nintendo, one of my favorite consoles of all time is the Super Nintendo. So when I heard announcement of the Analogue Super NT, I had to take it upon myself to go do some research, so that's exactly what I did. Let's talk about some of the pros and cons of this new Super Nintendo clone console, the Analogue Super NT. Let's go! Welcome back to all of my subscribers, and like I said before, if you aren't a subscriber to this channel, you should probably click that button and hang out for a little while. You might enjoy the channel. Now, on to the topic, the Analogue Super NT. So let's talk some pros and cons. I am going to start out with the cons of the console first because I don't like to end on a negative note. So let's get started with con number one, the price. $189.99. Granted, this is much cheaper than their first console, the NT Mini, which is a clone console of the NES. But still, to be a third-party clone console, this thing is pretty pricey. This is more expensive than a Retron 5, and the Retron 5 plays up to about 10 different consoles games. And with that being said, with the high price of $189.99, it brings me into my second con. It does not come with a controller. What? They partnered up with the company 8BitDo to make matching controllers for the console, but don't even include them with your purchase. Really? And surprisingly enough, that actually leads me into con number three. The controllers that they collaborated with 8BitDo on are Bluetooth controllers, but the console itself does not have Bluetooth technology built in. Instead, you have to use a wireless receiver called the Retro Receiver by 8BitDo. I'm pretty sure there's another company that makes these things, but the one that I am aware of and the one that they are marketing along with this console is the Retro Receiver by 8BitDo. So in order to get the controller that is matching with the console, you have to buy in a bundle that comes with the wireless controller with the wireless receiver at $39.99. Honestly, $39.99 is not that bad, but it would have been much better if they had included it in the package with the console. At least one. And another part of this con is that if you happen to lose this wireless receiver, your controller is basically useless at that point, and you have to buy another wireless receiver, which could run you about 20 to 25 bucks. Con number four, the fourth and final con in my opinion, the lack of an AV port. Now, this one, I'll admit, it's a little bit just me complaining, to be honest with you. I would just really like to play the console right out of the box on my CRT TV at times, because some of the accessories for the Super Nintendo, like light guns, are not compatible with an HD TV. Now, I am going to let this one slide a little bit just because I know that this console is marketed for HD TV users, and that's really their market, is they are aiming for people who want to play their old games on an HD TV. So Analogue Super NT, you get a pass on that one. So halfway, so a little bit. So now that we've covered all of the things that I consider to be cons of this console, let's talk about a few pros. Pro number one. The console promises to play your games with zero lag. Pro number two. This console is region free. So what this means is that you can play any games from around the world, even Super Famicom games from Japan. And after I say that, if you were wondering if this console has the ability to do translations, I have not heard anything about this yet, but it does have an SD card slot, so this may be a possibility. I have not heard anything yet, like I said before, so just keep an eye out and look for any news on that. And if anyone does have news on that and I might have missed it, make sure to put it in the comments section and help out your fellow gamers. Pro number three, the size of the console. This console looks like it is a little bit smaller than the SNES Junior that was released by Nintendo. And if you look at any of the pictures, judging by the cart slot itself, it looks like it is slightly bigger than if you took a SNES cart and laid it down flat. It is just a little bit bigger in diameter from that, and it looks like to be just as thick as if you took two carts and stacked them on top of each other. So this console is not that big, which will make it very easy for you to add it to your collection of consoles, put it on your entertainment center, so you don't have to go around rearranging all of your consoles. It looks like it should be pretty small and well manageable to fit wherever you got some extra space. Pro number 4, USB power. With a USB power supply, it means you do not have this giant hunk of brick that you're trying to plug into your power strip. Those things can get really annoying. They take up a lot of space, and it also makes it a little bit easier to find a replacement cable if you happen to lose yours, or maybe, you know, if you have animals, they happen to chew up your cables. Trust me, this has happened to plenty of people that I know, especially the ones with cats. So I think going with a USB power source on this console was a very smart move, not only for the reasons that I mentioned before, but also most HD TVs now even have a USB port on the side of them, making it much easier to plug in your USB and your HDMI straight into the TV and not have cables running all over the place. Pro number 5, picture options. The Super NT will have options like scan lines, horizontal stretch, vertical stretch, and other aspect ratio options. So if you have any preferences on these, the Super NT has you covered. Pro number 6, stereo sound. The Super Nintendo had some games with some of the best soundtracks that I had ever heard back in the day. So for this console to bring these out in stereo sound is amazing. Pro number 7. This next one is kind of a 2-in-1 deal. Authentic Super Nintendo controller ports and accessory compatibility. The Super NT does feature actual Super Nintendo controller ports, so you can use any of your old controllers if you still have them, and it does promise to use any of the accessories that they have made alongside of the Super Nintendo as well. Just to name a couple, I am talking about things like the Mario Paint mouse, or maybe the Super Nintendo Advantage controller. But like I was saying in one of my cons, I do not know how light guns are gonna work, because obviously this thing is made for an HD TV. So if I take it and plug the HD TV into an AV converter, I am hoping that the light guns still work. But once I get my hands on it, I will test it out and see if this is the case. I'm pretty sure that it will be unaffected, but I don't want to say that they will work, just because there is an outside chance that they might not. I have never had to take a console and go from HD back to AV that uses a light gun, so we'll see how it goes. Pro number 8, console color options. When you go to pre-order your Super NT, you will have the ability to choose between 4 different custom colors: all black, clear, Super Nintendo theme, or Super Famicom theme, and they all look awesome. Me personally, I want to get my hands on that clear version. With that being said, as I mentioned before, they did collaborate with 8BitDo on controllers to match each one of these console variants. So when you do place your order, don't forget, if you want one of these controllers, to pick the controller that you want, because it is not coming inside the box when you purchase the console. Although they are sold separately, they do look very nice. I know I will want a clear one to match the clear console if I happen to get it. I just wished it was a simpler process and they just included it with the console. But if you don't want to use a wireless controller or buy one of these, you can still use your old controllers, or if you want to buy a cheaper wired controller, like I said, you still have the SNES controller ports on the front there, so you can really kind of use any controller that you want. Side note though, if you do happen to get one of the controllers that comes with a wireless receiver, you will have the ability to use your PS3, PS4, Wiimote, or Wii U controller with that retro receiver, as it is Bluetooth and it does have the capability to be compatible with those controllers. So for those of you who have gotten too accustomed to the newer modern age controllers, no sweat. You can just use the wireless receiver and use one of your new age controllers. And the last pro number 9, no emulation. This is a pure hardware console ran on an FPGA chip, so you should not have to deal with any ROM dumping or any load times, anything like that. The entire library of the Super Nintendo should be able to be played on this console. And with the SD card slot on there, like I was saying before, you do have the ability to do firmware updates. So if there happens to be any issues, they should be able to fix it via a firmware update. So there you have it. Those are my pros and cons of the Super NT. Obviously, you can see that there is a lot more pros to this console than there is cons. So I personally think that it is totally worth a purchase. I think that I'm gonna try and get my hands on that clear one, like I said before, and I wanna know what you guys think. What do you think about the Super NT? Leave that down in the comments section, let me know. Also, if you are gonna get one, let me know what the first game you're gonna try is. Before I go, I do wanna give a special thanks to everyone who has supported the channel, made donations, liked, shared, comment, done all that great stuff. I do really appreciate it. Shout out to Erica for getting her Rax the Great hoodie. She sent me a picture of that, and here it is. It looks super awesome. That color is a great choice. I really appreciate everybody who supports this channel. You guys have no idea. I can't say it enough, and I'll see you guys on another video. You guys are still here? Why don't you check out this channel right here? Or maybe use this button and subscribe.